Cougar Sports Saturday.
It's complete and another touchdown!
Cougar Sports Saturday. A presentation of KSL Sports.
Left wing for three. He got it again!
BYU Sports Talk by Cougar fans for Cougar fans. Here are your hosts, Mitch Harper and Matt Baiamonte. On Utah's legacy home of the Cougars. KSL News Radio, 102.7 FM and 1160 AM.
Welcome back in. It was a memorable season for BYU basketball, a trip to the Sweet 16. And to break it down, we have a former BYU basketball coach and a current analyst here with the KSL Sports Zone. He is Tim LaComb. Tim, thanks for joining us, man. We appreciate it.
Oh, so happy to, and I'm sorry about last week. Had a little hiccup, so I wasn't able to join you. I owed you one.
Hey, it happens, Tim, but we appreciate you carving out some time here on a Saturday. Now that Kevin Young's first year is over, how would you grade this first year for KY?
Oh man, it's definitely an A, and I think obviously not without a little bit of tough times during the season, but I was really impressed, really with the way he was able to kind of grab that thing and really made big time decisions personnel-wise, hard decisions personnel-wise. The easy way would have been to kind of lean into, more guys that you paid money. And at the end of the day, it was really a team effort. And I think the thing that will stand out to me always is how he really gave guys roles and they bought those roles. And, I think if a team can do that and you've got talent, you can be successful. But nobody saw that coming, I don't think, anywhere. And good for KY and good for all the guys involved. That was one of the magical seasons in Cougar history.
And part of that magic was the player development with Richie Saunders, all Big 12 season. What were you most impressed by with Richie this year?
Just his continued ability to raise it to the next level. I had the great opportunity of actually offering Richie a scholarship back in the 9th grade. And I'll never forget walking out of that gym the first time I saw him. He was not on a name program. He was not on a big time circuit, but I'll tell you what, you watched him play back then and you see a lot of those same things that make him great today. His fight and his competitiveness. And then, like you said, it's just over time he's developed into such a magical scorer in so many different ways. Yeah, it's been an awesome year for Richie, but something he's worked at for a long, long time. A lot of work put in.
Now, Tim, since you were kind of at the ground level with you knew Richie as a young kid, as a 9th grader, did you know about the tater tot story? I'm kind of kidding, but this kind of came out of nowhere.
No, it did. I love tots. I mean, I am a tot guy. Given the opportunity, tots typically hit, the onion ring will sneak in if that's an option from time to time because, I am a little bit, I don't know, edgy, I guess. But the tot is a favorite. I do not carry him in my cargo pants, however. But no, that caught me by surprise. Never heard the tot story till this year.
Yeah. Tim, Alabama put up a historic performance, and they're building something really nice down there in Tuscaloosa, multiple deep runs in consecutive years in this tournament. What gaps did you see between where Alabama is at today and where BYU is, and how can KY maybe fill those and make this team a little more competitive at a higher level?
Well, I think first and foremost, you said historic performance. I mean, come on, man. Like that team, I watched them all year long. And, I always watched them. I always loved watching them. And I said to myself, man, if they could just shoot it, I just don't know if they shoot it good enough. And BYU plays them in. They do a great job of actually attacking them in the paint and winning the paint battle. But Alabama was just out of their minds. And I really did think at halftime with an 11-point deficit, but, Alabama had made 12 threes at that point. I'm like, I just don't know if they can do 12 again. Well, they did 13. And so I've said to a couple people, you can lose an NCAA tournament game a lot of ways. And, some ways are worse than others. I thought BYU played really well. I thought they played hard. I think it's just that Alabama's a little further down the road. Nate's been there, and his program's, through a couple of years is of excellence, because that's what Nate is. He's excellent at his job. And, known that dude for a long time, too. He was a high school coach. He coached Will Clyburn, the former Ute, in high school. And that's how recent he was coaching high school, and worked his way into junior college, and then got the head job at Buffalo. And when he was at Buffalo, I met him at Celtics training camp, and we sat and talked for a couple hours, during the day, and then we stayed in touch. So I've been actually texting with Nate all year. And I mean, honestly, I went into the game saying if BYU can rebound their misses, which they did early on. But man, unfortunately, just not a lot of misses from Alabama from three, and that was the game.
Do you feel like the styles of play from Alabama and BYU with Kevin Young, do you feel like that's going to be kind of a trend in college basketball going forward? It feels like Oates and Young there's kind of an alignment there with how they view the game of basketball a little bit.
Yeah, it's a great call. I think, with number one thing is they love to play on advantage, and they love to play up tempo. And, basketball is such a great game, and you can play it so many different ways. But I love up tempo, and I think players love to play it. And if you get a rebound, particularly, man, fly that thing up the floor, because defenses are so good nowadays that if you can beat it up the floor and get a three in transition, it's as good as working your tail off in the half court to get one too. So I think those guys understand it, and then they're tacticians. Like, you can't watch either team this year and see the adjustments that they made. Alabama had some tough losses this year, and BYU obviously went through a tough stretch, but I think resilience, both those guys are really resilient. And then to your point, what's kind of starting to come into the game, as always, is the NBA game, and then you're seeing more and more of it. I mean, Utah obviously hired Alex Jensen. This week they hired the guy who was an assistant GM. So I think that's where that thing's starting to slip. You see NBA guys, and I can attest to this, 82 games is a mother load. It is brutal. And if you haven't done 82, I thought the first year I did it, I was like, this will be great, the NBA. And I didn't really, because I'm not very smart, I didn't put like 82 games means 82 nights in that chair. So it's a grind, and guys are seeing, I can leave that NBA, still get paid, comparable money, and really narrow my scope to 30-something games, have a little bit more of a family life. And, with the NIL now, too, you've got to really have an understanding of salaries, caps, and how that all fits.
Tim, last thing for you. Dating back to your time with BYU, I'm sure you had many an off-season conversation on, do you come back? Do you leave? Do you go pro? And BYU's got a couple guys that are probably mulling that over right now, being Yegor and Richie. What do you think those guys should do? You reference NIL. I'm sure that's a piece of it, but what do you think those guys should do with eligibility left on the table?
Well, the first thing I will say is they're both surrounded by such amazing people. The Saunders, first and foremost, they might be one of the finer families I've ever met. I had the opportunity to recruit. Always kind, always respectful, just good people. And I think they're, Richie's got, he and Yegor are in completely different situations age-wise. And, the thing I don't know is how it's going to impact. Before, if you even had a sniff of the NBA, most people were saying you needed to go because you're going to get your chance. And worst case scenario, you can go overseas and make money. Now these guys can stay, and they can continue to develop. And like I just said, under a pro coach and a pro system, which is what I consider BYU to be now, I think, you have things pulling you either way. But I think both guys have a great situation, because I think it makes sense for both of them to stay. And like Alabama just did, string some success together with the sinews of that success. And that's how you make that kind of absorb through the program. So I would say, you know, and then in Yegor's situation, unbelievable family, and then his family here, you know, the Hansons have done a great job of taking him under their wing. Trav's got such a good head for all that stuff, and so connected to agents in the NBA and all that sort of things. I don't think either one of them need to make a knee-jerk decision, and I don't think they will. But I think, you know, there's part of this thing that makes sense, like to come back here and go recruit a couple more big pieces. Obviously, you got AJ coming in, and really, off of a Sweet 16, be ready to take that next step with guys who, you know, got there the first time. And that's a real major thing. We didn't have that benefit the year we finally broke through in 2009 and beat Florida to get the first tournament win since, 93? I think it was 93 to 2009. And then the next year is the year we tasted what it felt like to win in the tournament. The next year we were able to bring a lot of those same guys back and take the next step. And that's what intrigues me about those guys staying, is I think they're well positioned to do just that.
Tim LaComb, you're the man as always. You still rocking? You got any upcoming shows?
No shows on the calendar, but I will throw out a little teaser since it's, you know, Cougar Saturday. There have been discussions, and they're in the works ongoing, that the Party Hounds are going to play a Cougar football game this year.
Oh, let's go.
That's awesome.
I love that.
Just negotiating for which one, and I'm really, you know, I'm hoping for the Utes.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's an obvious choice here.
Night.
A rivalry night with the Party Hounds first, and then the Holy War after that.
So if you want to, just email David Almadova and tell him Cougars and the Utes, the Party Hounds need to be there.
I love that.
Maybe we could start that campaign.
We'll put a word in.
But hey, you guys are awesome. I love what you do and how passionate you are about it. Anything I can ever do for y'all, I'm out here.
Same here. Thanks, Tim.
Thanks,
we appreciate it.
See you guys.
See ya. All right, we got to take a break ourselves, but first, let's go back out to Draper to the Hot Tub Factory outlet with Amanda.
Thank you so much. I'm here at the Hot Tub Factory outlet at 12101 South State. We're right next to Cowabunga Bay, and I just have had the most fun watching this family check out the swim spa. They're in there having a great time, feeling what it feels like to swim against the current, hanging out together, and then there's a hot tub too that's fired up. So, you know, there's no way to know what those jets are going to feel like until you sit down and let those jets work on your back and make you feel so much more relaxed. Life is too short to not have a hot tub, especially when you can get event pricing. So I see all of these signs of the hot tub save an additional $1,000 because these hot tubs are still priced at the Home and Garden Show prices. So you can get a hot tub for as low as $69.95, and they have all these different sizes and models to choose from. Top of the line hot tubs and swim spas. They've teamed up with their vendors so that they can give you these discounts, but it's today. So come down and see us today here at the Hot Tub Factory outlet in Draper, where I am next to Cowabunga Bay. And they also have a beautiful store in Farmington Station and at Backyards of America in Sandy off of 90th South. Check them out online at hottubfactoryoutlets.com.